So let me speak with you from the heart, from the head. You know, if you guys learn anything great, I really hope it's not this kind of ego pony show. That's the least I want to do up here, but they asked to speak about my life, so I'll share some insights there. So you can see here, my mom is Argentinian, my dad is Brazilian. Yeah, so it's a crazy mix. They met in a ship, I don't know, 40 years ago, wrote letters for 2 years, met 4 times, married, and they're still together. So it's kind of one of those Titanic stories. My father still grabs her ass when she passes by, so they still got the fire, you know? So we grew up in Brazil until I was the age of 11. Then we moved to Chile. We lived there 5 years. Then we went to Ecuador, lived there 3 years. Went to the international American schools. Not easy. You know, I was a Brazilian kid. Then we went to Chile. My ESL, English as a second language, was myself, and I think all the other kids were Korean. I only spoke Portuguese then, but they were teaching us English in Spanish. 6 months, I couldn't speak, right, because you couldn't communicate. But then, like everything in life, once it clicks, it clicks. And then I worked in different places in the world. I lived like 3 months in La Rochelle. I worked 3 months in Sydney, in Bondi Beach, which is really cool. I worked in Mexico City, Cancun as well, which are, I hear some good energy there. Then my big dream as a kid was to come work and live in the US. I'm one of those dreamers, kind of delusional at many times, which I think you have to be. Why not? So then I came to the US, which was my big dream. At that point, I went undergrad to the hotel school at Cornell. Now here's one of the things I think you guys will feel is the following. My counselor, which was in the high school in Ecuador, Mr. Shortino, he said, "You'll never get into an Ivy League." So I looked at him, I stood out, and I said, "I'll come back." Then I applied, then I got to the hotel school, and then they sent me a letter, very thin envelope. You guys know how those are, right? The thick envelopes mean you got in, and then the thin envelopes, at that point I thought you would never get in. My father said, "I don't believe you'll get there," and I said, "You wait." And then the thin envelope came. And then you're like, okay, but your heart's still beating a little bit. You know, you have that faith that you might get it. And then I opened and said, "Oh, you got in," which was unbelievable. We didn't know if I could actually afford it to attend there. I stayed there 4 years. Have stories that we almost killed a girl on the lake there. I mean, there's many good stories. I wish I would have partied more, that's for sure. But I've partied after, which is okay too. So that was Cornell, was 4 years, I loved it. But one of the things which I did during my time there was, have you heard of Semester at Sea? So it's basically a floating university which goes around the world in 100 days. And you visit 10 different countries. But they have a class called Geography 1000. So actually you're studying on the boat. But before you arrive in each port, they teach you kind of very crumbed information, everything for you to arrive at the port. So it was amazing because you would be, you know, 3 days on the boat, suddenly you were in India, and then suddenly after you were in, India is amazing. And then after you were in India, you were maybe 5 days, and then suddenly you're in Kenya. So your mind tricks, you trip, because you are learning all these cultures, the immigration patterns. Like few people know that in Kenya, most of the wealth is actually from India, and you see the world completely different. And I think that was really neat experience for me. I met Desmond Tutu and some of these personalities that their energy, you know, like probably how Jesus was wired, like Mahatma Gandhi, Moses. You get to them and there's some kind of a vibe. And Desmond Tutu definitely had that vibe. So then I came here on a H-1B visa, no, an F1 visa. For those of you, how many are international in the room? Wow, okay, 50% by hands. So you maybe feel the feeling of being here on a working student visa, then you're trying to get a green card. Not the easiest process, especially when it was around 9/11, not the coolest. But it doesn't matter, right? So the owners of the breakers, these guys, they were probably my height, you know, the bow tie, very English-looking type professors. They're the owners of the breakers. The most simple people you'll ever meet. They recruited me, and I went to work at the Breakers in rooms reservations there. But then I quickly noticed that I can't deal with people in operations. I guess it's the Italian blood. I'm calm, but I'm pretty intense. And if you're screaming in my face because you're disputing a $1 bill in your $5,000 check, I'm not gonna deal with you too well, right? So then I created there this concept of a virtual check-in. So you would come in the front driveway, and this hotel is incredible. And when you came in, we would announce by name. So when you arrived to the valet, they already knew who you were. If you're a VIP, we would escort you directly to the room without doing a credit card. So at that point, I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't like dealing with people in operations, but I'm pretty creative. And then you start discovering yourself even more, which is huge. Like, what's the age variance in the room? 25 maybe? Okay, 25 is good, right? So I'm 36 now. So between, I think, 22 to 28, you learn a lot, and then you're like, you know what? I'm not taking that bullshit. And I can swear, right? It's okay? Okay. So you said, I don't want to be doing that anymore. And you learn what makes you click. And then you should follow that path, what makes you click. So I was there at the Breakers. And it was interesting because it took 9 years to then get the green card. It took forever, which meant I couldn't live there, because if you leave, you lose the papers. So I would have wanted to live there much earlier, but that's not how life is sometimes. You just stick to it. You have to be a kind of a soldier. You just go at it, right? So there I developed all of their online presence, online booking, gift card program, all of their websites, all of their databases, their business intelligence software, and I made them, I don't know, over 150 million bucks, right? Which was great for them, not great for me and my family and things like that. So you start questioning, okay, why am I gonna work for the man when I could be the man, right? Or the woman, or whatever, right? Like, so you start thinking, okay, and these were wonderful people, but it makes you think a little bit differently, and that was huge for me. And then I was very lucky because one of the owners is a disciple of Warren Buffett, and he knew that I loved stocks. So one day he comes into my desk, he comes in and throws a big stack of paper like this. And I'm like, okay, Mr. Keenan, what is this? And then he says, this is the Berkshire Hathaway annual report. For those of you that know Warren Buffett, that's the company that he owns. And for those of you that don't know, he is, I think, today still the richest man in the world. He started from nothing. The guy's a financial genius and has created empires. And he's the most humble guy. He still drives the same, I think it's a Ford, has this little home and so forth. So when I was there, I was very lucky because Mr. Keenan said, okay, you know stocks, I want you to start betting on stocks. And they invited me to be on the board of advisors investment committee. So I helped the Breakers invest a big amount of cash that they had there, which was fun, but no cash here, right? But I learned amazing things from those wonderful people. So I think I have like 350 domain names. They're very cheap, guys. If you have an idea, just go and register. They're like $8 a domain name per year. So if you look there a little bit, you can see greencarddream.com. I have probably 30 more related to the residency, like I think libertadtotal.com, all these different things, like really just to feel free in this country, that I could go work anywhere, that I could start a business and so forth. So I think if you look at all the domains I've bought, you can probably have a pretty good correlation to what my state of spirit was. Now it's all AdMobilize, right? So this is a great quote by Einstein. It says, I have no special talents. I'm only passionately curious. And I think that's probably one of, at least for entrepreneurs and I think creative minds, you have to be curious all the time. And I'm sure you guys are amazingly curious to see how far your ideas can go, how disruptive your concepts can be, and where your life will be. So this is one of the things that I try to live my life. And I think I have some ADD, never went to a doctor for it. But I'm always very curious. I hear something and then I'm on my iPhone trying to figure out whatever it is that I'm trying to learn that is new. So this is something that was really neat. So when I was at the Breakers, I did all of that. My brother, the one on the right there, he has a doctorate in psychology. He's one of these kids that can look at documentary. 10 years later, he remember everything that was in the documentary. fun to talk to. I don't have that particular skill. So Alexis and I, my ex-boss at the Breaker, said, look, man, we know what we're trying to do with My Therapy Journal. How about you go and you apply? So at that time, I was doing my MBA at UM. I was doing some triathlons. I was working full-time at the Breakers, and then I decided to apply for Shark Tank. And then at University of Miami, we won the business plan competition with My Therapy Journal. So My Therapy Journal, what it is basically an online journaling system based on cognitive behavior therapy. So my brother came to me and said, look, man, I have all these patients. They can't afford to pay $150 for 1 hour for help, which is ridiculous, right? The biggest problems in the world are because people have mental disorders. And disorder basically means that something is not in order. For it to get reorganized, it means that you need some help. So we said, okay, man, how about we create a software for the masses that is pretty inexpensive. It was $95 a year. It's also a step into the world of therapy. You journal, it has all these different categories, which are very cool. And then we created, because of my stock passion, a graph, a proprietary graph, where you can measure your own emotions as if you were a stock, and then correlate it back to the online journal. So kind of a disruptive way. We had even in the plan idea, even other things where the journal will talk back to you. So imagine you come back from the army, you have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and you have your sergeant that is reviewing how you're doing, and then the journal can, the returnee from the army can start typing, and then the algorithm would have told the general, saying, you know what, Billy here is close to potentially committing suicide. So the journal will be smart enough to communicate and potentially save lives, right? So our heart is always in a wonderful place with My Therapy Journal. So let me show you, if you guys like 2 minutes of when we were there. Have you guys seen it already? No. And it's kind of cool. It was a crazy moment. We were there for a week. My brother was going to get married 2 weeks after. They tried to crack us the entire week that the patent wasn't good enough. Even in the beginning where it starts, they had us in front of the sharks with lights 10 times this. 5 minutes just looking at them, and they were like this. After they had us waiting 6 hours, if or not we're actually going to present. And so let me show you this.
Hi, I'm Rodolfo Saccoman.
And I'm Alexis Saccoman. And we're brothers originally from Brazil. I'm a therapist, and I have a private practice in San Francisco.
I'm director of online marketing for a major resort in Palm Beach, Florida. We combine both of our expertise to create an innovative business that has tons of money-making potential, but also, and more importantly even, to help people.
We started in Brazil, and we're there pretty much until the age of 6 and the age of 10. Right? And then that's when my father made his big break.
He started as a factory worker in Brazil,
working his way through high school, then college, and then 2 master's degrees.
He knew that he wanted Alexis and myself to learn English, because if we learned English, eventually we could get to the US. An investment from the sharks will justify our parents' sacrifice. Over 14 years since I landed in the US to create something beautiful, and finally, we can taste a bit of this American dream. This part sucked. Saccoman.
And I'm Alexis Saccoman.
We're the founders and creators of our website, My Therapy Journal. Today we're here to ask $80,000 for a 20% equity stake in our business.
Now, if you'll please indulge us and close your eyes for 5 seconds.
Go ahead. Think of something that makes you feel good, something that makes you happy.
10 million.
Okay, please open your eyes. That's what we're in business for, to give that feeling to more people, more often, and in more places. We are revolutionizing therapy.
What My Therapy Journal offers is an online psychotherapeutic tool
We provide the most effective
So it's good.
and
You guys should see the
affordable
show there. It's
alternative
really
to
good.
traditional therapy. So Alexis, would you like to provide and share a little bit what our software does?
Sure. Currently, the entire...
So let me tell you some insight that very few people know, right? So Alexis and I, there's a show before Shark Tank called Dragon's Den, which is a Canadian show. So and there's like 7 seasons of the show. Because we're so analytical, and my brother, we're all spiritual, but he's very like, he's able to read people amazingly. So we decided to study every single episode and takes notes on different categories. How you walk into the place, how you respond to the sharks going nasty at you, who are the sharks that we wanted to get investments from, but even the way that we will look when they would kind of, you know, some people like to defy you with their eyes. There's many ways of dealing with that, right? So we had studied everything. So then at the end we did win. That's the hug that we gave these guys. And on TV we won the investment and so forth. So that was the moment, probably one of the best moments when we won. Because it was the concept that you can create, and we did it on a napkin, just like AdMobilize we have done now, on a napkin. And you go through all these crazy obstacles and people say, no, it's too hard, no, you can't do it, there's no market, blah, blah, blah. But you just break it through and you just keep on pushing, right? So when we won that thing, it was amazing satisfaction, but at the back of your mind, it was almost a feeling of, you see, it can be achieved, you know? And that's one of the things that I hope that after this conversation and the next, I think 4 days, 3 days we're together, and then with Mark we're talking some things in the future, that stays. So, so building the sharks, we did that. So during that entire period, I decided to really focus on some unbelievable personalities, guys that their mind thinks so different than us, but they all evolved. So I started studying, you know, Steve Jobs greatly. And have you guys read his book, the 700-page book? And the guy was really complex, but who's not complex? You don't want to be so commonplace either, right? Otherwise, we're just another of the 7 billion human beings. We want to be ourselves. So I studied these guys because instead of me taking 10 years to learn a lesson, if I really learn one lesson that they lived in a few pages of a book, and if I'm able to kind of, by osmosis, learn a bit, it can make you, the things that you achieve maybe quicker. So then after the breakers, I got the green card, which was like, it was a miracle. It took everything I had to stay there for so long and not be able to do what I wanted to do. And then my parents were always corporate. My father, and they're the most beautiful people, but you know how your parents sometimes, maybe your parents have businesses back home, or your father's a doctor and he wants you to be a doctor, or your mother, whatever. And usually it takes us a long time to be able to see that in your own family dynamics. It took me a long time to get it. And even though our family, we talk and we do all these goals, but it takes some time. So one thing that maybe you guys can do, look at your own family dynamics. And are they holding you back from achieving what you really want? You know? Don't let that happen. I'll tell you a story a little bit. So then I quit the breakers, and then I came to work for Morgan Stanley here in Miami. The big office, next to the boss. I came to basically trade stocks and find clients. Look at the office environment. And look, all respect for Morgan Stanley and the lawyers. They need to have these offices, otherwise they will never get the clients. But that's not for me. But I was dressed with the tie. I mean, again, I told you I don't like usually to wear the suits, but today, so the tie, the cufflinks, the entire show. That show, it was horrible for me. I hated it, right? So, but again, but I did it, and I did my book of business and so forth. So, but every time I would drive, I'll look at the road, and I'll see this. And again, the idea for AdMobilize came probably 5 years ago, the first kind of seed. And then after 2 years, another seed came, and then another one, then suddenly they just merged. They didn't just come all at once. So I looked at this, and I was thinking, man, there's so much money to be made here, and nobody's monetizing it. And then at one time, I saw one person that put a bumper sticker in the car for Apple, and I'm thinking, really? You put that thing in your car or sports teams or whatever religion and they're not paying you anything? Makes no sense. Everybody wants money. So then that was the first kind of idea of the car. And then talking with my brother who owns 1% of AdMobilize, he said, man, how would you do it at airports and stuff like that? And then the idea of the iPad clicked, which was really cool. You know, let's just use iPads. And then after that, it evolved, and all these billboards that you guys work, I believe some of you work, outdoor advertising and so forth, none of them have any intelligence. You buy an ad, they can tell you kind of the circulation. There's a few companies trying to do things in there, but nobody has done kind of a hardware that is really easy, that starts doing vehicle counting, facial counting, and that's where we're coming in. But I looked at that and I said, it can't be, man. We have all this online intelligence, the online validated business model. All these people are making money, and still they're putting these billboards that have 150-year-old technology, and the brands are paying big money. Crazy. So that didn't make sense to me. And then, you guys know this guy? Tony Robbins, but he's very smart. This guy was about to kill himself. He had all these stories, and he has some methods. And one of his things are study people that have done it before you or that you want to learn from. So in that period that I was at Morgan Stanley, I didn't like it. I didn't want to be corporate anymore. I went to his conference. It was a 3-day thing in Chicago, and it's basically like a rock concert from 8 in the morning to 11 at night. You walk on fire. They kind of break you apart, and then but then that was my thing. I told myself I said, I want to go there. And immediately, the day after I come back, I'm going to go to my boss and I'm going to resign at Morgan Stanley. Because I said, enough. Not doing it. So that's what I did. I sat down with my parents. There's my father. There's my mom. Actually, that's my dog. And then I sat them down and I said, man, you know what? I'm going to have a very serious conversation with you. Perhaps the most serious conversation. I said, I'm never doing corporate again. Ever. I'm resigning Morgan Stanley that Monday. My father's mustache, which is beautiful like this, went like this. Mother started crying. My dog started puking. It was horrible. No, but I'm not puking like all over like their terrace. And I'm going like, okay, even the dog feels my energy right now. And I told them this. I said, look, I'm inviting you guys to come in the best adventure of your lives. But if you don't come with me, this family is changing forever. I'm getting goosebumps. Does the camera see it? Goosebumps. Because I meant it. It was going to change. So then, after that, they said, okay, we're going to support you emotionally. I didn't want the money, none of that. Just for them to not look at me with a crappy face that I'm going to do an entrepreneur venture and be like, My Therapy Journal, Shark Tank, oh, cool. But how about the breakers? No. I wanted them to look at me and say, go, man. Go freaking get your dream. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, it's okay. So I had that meeting with them. And then, boom, I said, enough. I quit Morgan Stanley. I went to the boss. I gave him the letter. And he was a great boss, by the way. But I gave him the letter. I was in the elevator with the tie, looking at the mirror. You know those fancy elevators, you know? I had the tie. And then I'm looking like this. I take the tie out. I said, never again. I walk to the canal. I throw the tie in the canal. I do a prayer. I said, God, thank you for everything the corporate world has taught me, but I'm not doing it again. And that was that. And then 3 months later, I found my seed investors for AdMobilize, and that's how we got to AdMobilize. So let me show you some videos of AdMobilize. I think there's, how are we on time? You let me know, Mark, on time? So let me show you some quick videos of how it works, and then the iPad model and the car model.
Welcome to AdMobilize.com, where crowd advertising is now a reality. When you become an AdMobilizer, you connect with your favorite brands on your terms and earn passive income. It's that easy. Let me show you how it works. You first sign up at AdMobilize.com, create your profile, and then tell us if you want to advertise as a driver, an iPad owner, or both. If you got wheels, we'll send you the AdGear car display. Setup is a snap. Or you simply download the free app on your tablet. Advertisers use our first-of-its-kind platform to create highly customizable campaigns. Now all you have to do is drive normally, or display your tablet for everyone to see. Driving to school or work, walking through a bustling downtown, it all adds up. Here's the fun part. Pick your favorite brands that you would like to advertise. Get paid to show off the things you already love. Plus, AdMobilizers receive exclusive discounts from our advertising partners. Being an AdMobilizer isn't a job, it's a lifestyle. For the first time ever, advertisers get real-time metrics for their outdoor media campaigns and can track and review their stats in real time. Location, views, CPMs, while you track your income in real time. Pretty cool, right? Be a part of the advertising revolution. AdMobilize.com.
I'm Mandy. I'm 23 years old and will soon become a marine biologist. I'm an active person. I like to enjoy every moment of life while helping the environment. I bike wherever I go. It's a constant reminder of my freedom. I'm conscious that change starts within. In the beginning, things were more difficult. I had to keep a part-time job in a restaurant while going to college. While studying, I discovered my true passion. Luckily, last semester during finals, I met Ben. He introduced me to AdMobilize. So cool and simple. I signed up, downloaded the app, and became an AdMobilizer. Then I chose the brands I love and wanted to advertise. I don't need to do anything different, and at the end of each month, I get income from AdMobilize. Since that first connection at the coffee shop, we have really gotten to know each other. It's wonderful, it's spontaneous. We have an awesome group of friends, too. Now, all of them are AdMobilizing with us. It's a fun lifestyle where we are putting extra cash in our pockets for expressing who we are. Life is so good right now. I am so thankful for the decisions I am making. AdMobilize. Add differently.
So let me show you, right? So have any of you downloaded the app? How many have iPads here? Okay, there's iPads. Download the app. So you download, it's free. And you can see what brands are available. So basically you get paid to advertise, right? So let me just show you here. This is one ad which we created, and I was in London for some investor meetings there too and so forth. But so right now, right, it's taking pictures every 5 seconds. And it's tracking the GPS, and we're finalizing facial counting. So now you download the campaign, you're making between $2 and $5 an hour. And we're also doing an impressions model. So you just go, you walk around the mall, wherever, taking pictures, and it's counting how many people are exposed. And then you can do with QR codes, URLs, and then you provide the client with the ROI on the other side as well. There are 35 million of these in the US. I would say 30% of them have the 3G and wireless. You know how there's only 946,000 billboards in the US, right? 4,000 of them are digital. The rest are all old school propeller plane. The technology that we're developing makes it kind of a spaceship of metrics and distribution. It's very hard to put an ad out on the street. But now we have 51 million potential passenger vehicles, and we have 30, whatever, let's say even if you have 20 million iPads, this is just the US. So let me show you the other video, which is the car video, which we had the technology done at MIT.
I'm Jane. I'm a single mother, and that moment has finally come through. It's definitely been a long road.
There are 2,400 miles to reach my goal. Every mile we've passed hasn't been in vain. My mother's drive has inspired me to see the beauty of life through my own perspective, through the lens of my camera.
My son's strength and zest for life has encouraged me to follow my dreams and finally open my own coffee shop.
I can never thank my mom enough for what she's done for me. She taught me the best lesson of all.
Steve has given me so much. Last summer, He introduced me to AdMobilize. Amazing. It was easier than I thought. After signing up, I received a package and installed it in a minute. It was pretty cool. With AdMobilize, I receive a monthly check for advertising my favorite brands in the back of my car. It's that simple. With the extra money I make, I can help Steve.
And I can help Mom achieve her dreams.
AdMobilize. Add differently.
So, so those are two of our biggest markets, which is really mothers and students. For the iPad, students are no-brainer, easy. Everybody wants money. For mothers, we think that the car, they get paid, $100 per month. That makes a big difference. And sometimes we forget, us getting educated, but there's a huge, half of the population, $100 a month per car, or it makes a big difference. It's the diapers, it's insurance, and so forth. So these are some of the pictures. So this is the app, so you have to understand that these videos, we recorded them and created the verbiage before anything was done. Pretty high risk when you're putting all this investor money and you don't know if Apple is actually going to approve your app or not. So you just have to go at it. But they approved us. We're the only one in the world that has this. So this is what we did at MIT. The story there is, again, a lot of this is serendipity. My best friend from Cornell is an Argentinian, looks German, is Jewish. He's a crazy character. He's one of my best friends, has a research team of 15 people at the nanotech lab at MIT. So he helped me create some of this hardware, which I didn't have much knowledge on, but the learning curve, you learn quickly. Then this is the actual dashboard. That's a campaign that we did in a few places and in London. That's actually me walking Leicester Square. These are all the places in the US, London, and the dashboard provides both you as an AdMobilizer and an advertiser all this data, which is unbelievable. That's actually me. I think I was in London there. That's one guy doing in New York City. This actually is the video image. But more incredibly are people's reactions to the iPad and the car when actually we're doing it. These are actually the iPad taking snapshots of people looking at my iPad with that advertisement. It's unbelievable. And you show this to the brands and they're like, really? You're getting this type of engagement and you can track it? Exciting stuff, man. Look at that lady. She loves it. Lady loves it. She wants to make some money. People taking pictures. And we have hundreds of these images with limited number of clients and everything, right? So the moment that we are in, that's why when we connected with Mark, and for me it's a huge honor to present to you. I didn't take advertising classes. I'm still learning how the process works. So your creative minds and your knowledge of the industry for us is huge. And for me, look, we're open to doing all sorts of things for you guys to get involved, and we'll talk about it. But because I think you guys can provide us with such knowledge that can help us make AdMobilize one of those companies that just catapult, create jobs, makes many millionaires. So that's kind of the dream there. This is one. It's actually European Wax Center. They wanted that creative, which they do bikini waxing. It's a very respectable company. We're not doing anything related to the adulting industry. We're not, because Disney would never want to partner with us if we do it. So we're staying away from that, but that's discreet. It gets a lot of attention, that particular ad. So this is one of the car mobilizers. You know, we can track the routes. And the way that we did it is that you start and stop. That's one session, just as if it was a session online. That's one I'm happy at Mobilizer. And this is Eli Benson. He's an entrepreneur himself, and he has joined AdMobilize, and he's done a college tour to 7 campuses in Florida, signing up hundreds of AdMobilizers. And I took this picture this morning. This is this morning. For you to see the difference in office environment. Correct? You saw the Morgan Stanley, but I'm a million times happier here. So this is what I was telling when Eli went. That's all the stops he did, and got amazing response from students that they want to make money and they want to, how can they help and everything else. The team, you have, like I said, Eli is there. We have some of our tech partners, Rocker Labs. Some of their leadership are with us. And then my board is a pretty amazing board, and it's based on chance and friendship and just being a good person, right? So I have Mok O, who used to be the former chief scientist of PayPal, Dr. Elman, who is my Argentinian buddy from Cornell, Alexandre Saverin, who runs a hedge fund here. His family is involved in tech as well. And, you know, and we just keep on pushing. So the Miami Herald had the business plan challenge from all the startups here, and we got 2nd place, which was really exciting. They called us the Robin Hood of advertising, which I love. Why not, man? Like, I see so many brands. Let me see what brands I see. Apple, lots of Apple. What's that hat? LA, that's from LA, right? Dodgers, okay. Are they paying you anything? Zero, right? Zero. Apple is not paying. So many Apple. Are they paying you 1 cent? Giving you anything free, software? Nothing, right? Why? Thank you. Right? I love Apple, but the concept, if I'm gonna jog on the street with my Nike shirt, why is not Nike paying me, man? It's crazy. And we need justice, right? So that's where kind of conceptually AdMobilize the concept is. So what we did in 1 year just on the company, we raised some money, because without money there's no oxygen. Ferrari with no gas, nowhere. We set up the startup team and board. We did focus groups, proprietary hardware, software, partnership with the tech developers. Leaf Labs was the MIT. The patent is very strong, so we had Professor Menachem Natem at Tel Aviv University do our patent. Lawyers sometimes do patents, but I'd rather go to the guys that actually do the patents for MIT of some of these big institutions. We've done brand, trademarks, key letters of intent, positive PR, I told about the Herald, and strong traction. We really launched 6 weeks ago, which is an amazing moment for now. So I just want to provide now maybe a few slides that maybe you guys can take with your own lives, where you are now, where you want to go, and so forth. There's this concept that there's a manual for life. You go to school, you behave, you get a degree, you work for somebody, then you have a kid, then you do this. I'll tell you, look, life, and most of you already know, I'm not telling you anything new. Scrap it. There's no manual, man and ladies. You follow your life and you just go at it. There's no secret sauce that's gonna get you to become a millionaire, to get you to be happy. Doesn't exist. So that was a big lesson for me, because growing up, man, you have to be perfect, which helps because it helps you push. But inside, you have to follow what you want. Yeah, hard fight, man. You have to work really hard if that's what you want. You know, some people, they don't want to work hard. They don't want to create new things. They just want to have a regular job, do their yoga, and that's wonderful too. Like there's no manual. Nobody's going to say, oh, if you haven't accomplished this, everybody is completely worth it. Just follow, follow your, there's a saying that I love, follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. So the only constant in life is change. Things are always changing, right? So you just have to be accustomed to that. And trust your gut. We have had meetings with investors that I turned them down. Why? Because it doesn't feel right. You just, no, you don't want their money. Or when you're hiring people to work for you, look at the energy factor. They can be the smartest people in the world. But if you don't like them, or you don't feel connected to them, or you can't trust them, pass. 7 billion of us out there. You'll find a good team. And this goes for your personal life too, right? If you're in a relationship with someone that you don't like, pass. You know, just let go. Well, and here's, find love, man. It exists. Yeah, I can be romantic too. I tell her all the time. So, you know, it's okay to open up. Yeah. Okay. Can't believe that was the best slide of the presentation. Shit. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. She's going to be happy, you know, like, okay. So something else, if you have the opportunity, but you have a lot of internationals, and the ones that are not are also international, if you look from the other side here. Travel. I've tried to travel. I've been to 25% of the countries in the globe. Part was semester at sea. Part is just how we brought up. And part, you know, you can find some really cheap fares. You can go to Colombia. You can go to all these places around for $200. You probably spend $200 dining or drinking or whatever. Save it and go travel a little bit, you know. That's my dog, Karma. Her name is Karma. And you see there's a Windex right there. A Windex. Like from my big fat Greek wedding. I use it like that. And keep calm and let Karma finish it. The message here is the following, right? You can try as hard as you want, and you work harder than everyone else. If it doesn't flow, it doesn't flow. If it flows, it flows. But you have to keep on pushing, right? And then I wanted to thank everybody here. I love the name of the program, Heroes Program. I like it. But I think the hero are you guys that are dedicating your time to spend here learning, to work on AdMobilize brief, which I'm really appreciative. But go create your own stuff, you know, and go make the life that you want to live with. So that's that. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.